Introducing Tools for Living Your Fullest Life. This is Life's Toolbox with Kenny Brixey on Empower Radio. Now, here's your host, Kenny Brixey.
Welcome to Life's Toolbox, where each week we introduce tools that will assist you in expanding your awareness of your own incredible value and worth. These tools are designed to empower your journey to living a more mindful and purposeful life, and they will guide you to live as that beautiful, perfect, authentic self that really is you. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Before we get started with this show, I do have to let you know something. This week marks the 4th anniversary of Life's Toolbox being on the air. I was kind of shocked when I finally realized that. And the great thing about it is the guest that's here with us today was the first guest ever on this show. She helped me get the whole thing started, and that's Pam Thomas, and we're going to bring her on in just a little bit. On that first show, Pam and I talked about discovering and owning your essence, your truth, the real you. And, well, we've been kind of talking about that ever since on this show. And today is no different. We have, we've kind of come full circle, and I just love that Pam is here. And the great thing about this was it wasn't until after I invited Pam to be on the show this week that I finally realized that this was the anniversary. So, and once again, things are in sync, and I just love it when cool stuff happens. But for those of you that have not met Pam before, there's a beautiful bio that's on the Life's Toolbox page for this show. It has Pam's website address. You can go there, and I encourage you to do so. But today, instead of giving you a list of her accomplishments and a list of the things she does, I wanted to tell you about Pam Thomas. I first came across Pam years ago. It's been quite a while when I first discovered Twitter. And it was not too long after Twitter was up and going. But anyway, I'm kind of a quote junkie, and I was looking for Twitter accounts that posted positive quotes. Well, it turned out that Pam is also a quote junkie, and so I quickly began following her because she was posting up some great things for me to read and kind of encouraged me through my day. Sometime after that, I decided to extend my services that I offer at my company and become a coach. So I enrolled at Coach U, and as I was going through the classes that I needed to take and trying to work out my schedule, I saw this name, Pam Thomas, as one of the instructors. Now, I didn't know if it's the same one or not, but hey, I had to check it out. So anyway, I signed up for a class. Well, it turns out it was the same Pam Thomas, and I enjoyed the class so much. I ended up enrolling in every class that she taught that I was able to be a part of. And the classes were absolutely incredible, and it turns out her work is the same way as well. She keeps things very entertaining. She ties all of the teaching into life, practical living and things that you're going to deal with in life. The things she teaches you how to use them to move through and beyond. She does all of this in everything that she does. I am so fortunate to have been able to connect with her and there at the school and then beyond that as well. Pam has truly become one of my dearest friends. I can't say enough good about her. I'm going to say a little bit more, but I'll just let you know that this is only the beginning. She has been my mentor, and she still is. She has been my accountability partner, and she still is. She has been someone that I can bounce ideas off of, and she still is. She's been my friend, and she still is. She has been so helpful and encouraging to me, and folks, it's not that I'm special. It's not that our relationship is something extraordinary. I mean, it kind of grew into that, but it's not because of an extraordinary beginning that she's like this. She's like this for everybody she works with. Her work is absolutely beautiful and inspirational and truly practical. Her daily messages are insightful and thought-provoking. Her blogs are right on point for so many people's lives. And most of all, she does it all with love and truly cares more about the message that she's sending out than the recognition she might receive from it. If you cannot tell, this amazing woman holds a very special place in my heart. Please welcome back to the show my friend, my mentor, my guru for life, Pam Thomas. Hi, Pam. How are you doing?
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so I'm a crier. Thanks.
Well, that was my goal. I wanted to see if I could get tears before we start. No, not really.
I'm a crier.
Yeah. Well, I just realized when I started putting together the intro that I could have listed your accomplishments, and I really could have taken up 3 or 4 shows, talking about all of the wonderful things that you do and have done. And I chose instead to talk more about you, the person, because that's what makes it all so special. And so thank you for being that. But can you believe it's been 4 years since we first did this on this show?
No, I cannot believe it. And congratulations, my friend. What a major, amazing accomplishment, and what beautiful work you have been putting out into this world with your show. So kudos to you. Oh my goodness. I am so thrilled.
I am so grateful to you for helping me find the courage to stand on this platform. That was a huge step for me back when this whole thing first started. It still is. But I truly am grateful that you were part of that first show, because it made it so much easier.
You have no idea what an honor. What an honor. What an honor. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, Pam, when we first started talking about you being here, I kind of asked you what you want to talk about, and some of the things that you've been working on were about living from a place of value, and you began talking about that, and it was like, okay, this is kind of where we need to go. So let's just begin with this question and see where we go, see where we end up.
Okay.
What does living from a place of value mean to you?
What it means to me is that I know without a shadow of a doubt what makes me me, what makes me tick. I know it, I live it, I breathe it, I eat it, I sleep it, I work it, I walk it. That's what it means to me. And I have it over the course of my life. I was reminiscing the other day about where I started. And I remember being in a bathroom of a Mexican restaurant. I think I was about 36 years old, and I was talking to an acquaintance. She was a life coach. This was before I discovered life coaching. And I remember bawling my eyes out in this bathroom. I was newly divorced, a single mom, living off of credit cards, trying to make ends meet, and feeling like a complete and total failure. And what was worse is I had absolutely no idea. I say this tongue in cheek. I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. I had no idea what my direction was. And I became somewhat despondent in some respects. And so that is, I think, when I began my journey to really figure out who the heck is Pam Thomas? What does she stand for? And how does she want to use that for the next iteration of her life? So there you go.
Very cool. Well, how has that become important for you? How has that kind of boosted? Like I said, this laundry list of incredible accomplishments that you've had. has that? I kind of think I know the answer, but those that don't know you as well as I do, how would you tie all that together?
Well, I think I tie it all together, beginning with really, like I said, figuring out what made me tick, what was at my core, what I call your core values, and what was going to get me out of bed every morning. I had tried different things on for size, as many of us do, and not that my past jobs and experiences weren't great ones. They were, but they didn't make me feel complete or fulfilled. And so I've always known, without a shadow of a doubt, there was something more out there for me. And so I really set to work on figuring out, what is it? What is it that makes up me? How can I show up, authentically? Boy, I can't speak today. In the most authentic way possible, so that I was doing things that really matched who I was, instead of trying to force things or being in a dead-end job that I hated, or continuing to live off credit cards, when I knew that there was something more. There was something more. And that is when I actually discovered coaching. And it was in the process of discovering that and going through coach training when I really figured out who I was. It was awesome. Yeah. It was eye-opening. It was also scary.
this yeah, oh yeah, I get that. This is pretty amazing. I love hearing what you're saying because it takes me back to the first show that we did, which was discovering and owning your essence, the truth about who you are. And how would you, if you had to do a 30-second definition of how to do that, what do you tell people when they come to you and they're just not sure what that value, what that essence of them is? How do you discover that? Because once you discover it, you do have a platform to build off of, but how do you get to the platform?
Well, I used to think it was asking people what lit a fire for them or what got them out of bed or what they were passionate about. And a lot of what happened was people still struggled with that. So now what I do is I have a list, I think, of 500 values. I think it's that long.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and I have them listen. I've recorded them. I have them listen without judgment, just taking in words that feel like they have resonance. And from there, we start to weed out all the ones that really don't have resonance, the shoulds or the nice to have, and really start to understand and weed out the ones that really are connected to who they are as individuals. So that's that's what I do to help people understand their values, I guess. But it can be as simple as doing some work on your own and asking yourself the question, when I get lost in time, what does that for me? What excites me? What am I passionate about? So those are a couple of things that can be used to help people get to understand what their values are.
I love that, especially in what's going on in the world right now. I know where you stand, and I know where I stand on this whole political and the movements. And let's take political out of it. The movements that are happening today, and it is so easy to get caught up in the crap.
Yeah.
And if you hold on to what Pam's talking about here, when you hold on to your values and you tune back into those values, you can avoid getting sucked into that negativity. You still read it, but you don't have to dive into it head first. You can still stand, hold your head up and stand for what your values, stand with your values, I guess would be a good way to say that. Which, man, if everybody would do that, what kind of change would we see tomorrow if everybody would do that today?
Amazing change, because what would happen is people would start to own their own personal power. They wouldn't feel so powerless. They wouldn't feel like they were settling. They wouldn't feel as stuck. They would feel in control of their own, for lack of a better way to put it, in control of their own destiny, irregardless of what is going on around them. They would be in control of what's happening in their own world, personally. Maybe not the global world, but as you and I both know, when we come from that place of personal power, and I'm not talking about maniacal power, egotistical power, or even narcissistic power. What I am talking about is that deep knowing that you are confident in who you are, and that you are capable, and you know that you're capable of making decisions that fit who you are. And so if you notice, when people really feel confident and comfortable in their own skin, that's what they emanate. And what they emanate has an impact on the other people in their world. And they serve as a role model. And that's a beautiful thing. It has a ripple effect. When we all stand in our personal power, we have a ripple effect. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is so true. And I have a real life experience with this just yesterday. I've got a dear friend who is on the total opposite end of the spectrum from where I stand with all of that's going on in the government these days, and he was truly on a rant yesterday, just going absolutely nuts. and when he tried to drag me into it, I stand here. And it was said about with that tone. It was said about that pace, about that volume, and it sent him into a tailspin. And I said, and that's why I stand with my values. That's why I stand in my essence, is I don't have to let somebody disagreeing with me or being somewhere that I'm not drag me into the chaos.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it caused him to stop. When he heard those words, he stopped. He didn't come to my side of the situation. In fact, it's not really sides, but he didn't change his way of thinking, but he changed his attitude about it all. He was able to open up and see, hold on a minute, just because he doesn't agree with me doesn't mean I'm wrong. And,
right.
So standing in that truth that you're talking about, standing with your values, it truly can bring peace into your life and in the world. And you said maybe not globally. I think that when enough of us do this, we will see that global, and I know you believe that too. We will see that global change and shift. Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely do. And I think, I just wanted to say kudos to you for standing in your values and recognizing that in doing so, you weren't making him wrong. You were just saying this is my opinion. I have a right to it. You have a right to yours. And that's what happens when we stand in our values and stand in our own personal power. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It truly is life-changing. I know that I was one that would dive into the argument, and I actually looked forward to them sometimes. And it was all ego and all fear. It's like, I feared that I was going to be wrong, so I had to go make everybody else wrong first, and don't have to do that anymore. So,
no. So values don't come from your ego either. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there.
No,
you said something really
I'm
important.
Glad you said that.
Yeah, values don't come
you're
from
right.
your ego.
Yeah. In fact, if you're in your ego, you're not going to find your true values.
No. No.
You have got to step out of that ego for a while, and you've got to tune into the real you, which is a place of love and peace and calm. And you've got to look within you, and when you look within you, you're not going to find all the darkness and the fear and the hate and anger. You will find something worth finding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Truly believe that. Truly believe that. So how else do you, or not how else, but how would you, in your coaching, how would you assist someone in finding these beyond making the list, finding the words that resonate? What is something that somebody can do right now to find something of value and hold on to it and utilize it to lift them up?
I think the biggest thing anybody could ever do, and the greatest thing anybody could ever do, is, if possible, and I know this can be difficult sometimes, step outside your head for a second. Really tune into your intuition and your heart, because that's where all that good stuff comes from. Your head is where, your ego lives. It's where the negative naysayer lives. It's where that self-deprecating comments we say to ourselves live. It's, it's a place where sometimes we create stories that help us to feel powerless and wrong and less than and not enough. And I could go on with all sorts of lists. So I think if we can take a time and just really quiet ourselves for a moment and really check in with where our heart is leading us, where our intuition is leading us. I will often have clients do an exercise, and it's very simple. Just place your hand over your heart and take a deep breath. And in that moment, when you're struggling with something, asking yourself the question, what do I choose? And in doing that, you get the answer, not from your head, but from your heart. And that answer is very much connected to who you are, as your most authentic, core valued self.
Yeah. I love that. And then one of my suggestions to add to that would be to write whatever you come up with, write it on a sticky note and put it somewhere that you'll see it. And then anytime the world or life or whatever you want to call it starts getting back to the chaos, look at that note. And then 2 weeks from now,
Beautiful.
move your notes so that you'll still see it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I did that for a long time, and I had notes all over my house, and I never saw them after a while. So I got in the habit.
Mm-hmm.
I still use notes, but I got in the habit of moving them. And,
good thinking.
So
That's a good idea.
Yeah, when they show up in different places, I do see them. Yeah, I put one dead center of my computer screen one time, and I learned how to work around it, and I never saw it.
Well, then it's a great thing that you moved it so you could see it.
Oh, no. I tell you,
awesome.
I can find more ways to hinder myself if I'm not mindful, and that's one of the suggestions I would add to this is when you do discover things that you value, find a way to make them more of your mindful experience. And part of that, like I said, might be the notes. And I know that I've got a client who she takes 5 minutes every hour because that's what she desires, and she just goes into almost not quite meditation. I wouldn't call it that, but it's just kind of about 5 minutes every hour of silence where she just reminds herself. She's got some beads on a bracelet, and she just works those beads. And every time she'll touch one and think, I am, I don't know exactly what she's saying, but I am a strong woman. And then she'll go to the next bead, I'm a strong, and she does that until she goes all the way around. It's just kind of a mindful practice to remind her who she is and what she values.
Yeah. Yeah. And the beautiful thing about values, nobody can take them away from you. They're yours. They're absolutely yours. Nobody can take them away from you. Nobody can steal them. And, they really do. They rest with you, and they're your tools that you can use to step firmly into your personal power, to show up in the world, knowing that who you are and what you want are amazing, absolutely amazing, regardless of what's happening in the news or what your neighbor is doing or what family member said what and did what and all the chaos that sometimes swirls around us. Yeah.
Oh, I know it. It's this. Turn the news off.
Yeah.
Don't let that define you in any shape, form, or fashion. But the coolest thing about this work that for me was that no matter what I come up with, when it comes from my heart, when it's something that resonates with me, nobody can tell me with any authority that it's wrong.
Nope. They can try.
They can say it's wrong. Yeah, they can say it's wrong all day long, but it carries no meaning when you feel it. It's perfect for you. It doesn't matter what anybody else says about it.
Well, and that's when you are really sure of who you are, I call it your why. Your why. When you are really clear on your why, everything you do has more meaning to you. And everything that you do, I call your what. So your why impacts your what. And it doesn't matter, at that point, you're so solidly planted in your why that everything you do that's attached to your why does have more meaning. It feels better. It feels right. It feels like you're going through in the flow of things. And so it doesn't matter. You get to a point where if you're going to have naysayers, you're going to have people who question what you do and why you do it. That may never change, but here's what does change. What does change is your mindset and your perception. You begin to recognize that we have no control over what other people say, do, think, or feel. And 9 times out of 10, when they're telling us, oh, what you're doing is silly, that's a projection coming from them because maybe they're afraid. There might be something else going on. It could be related to the stories they're telling themselves. But when you are firmly planted in who you are and why you do what you do, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And what people say, that strength that they have diminishes. And that's when we fully step into, again, our own personal power, where we feel like we're in control of our own destiny as opposed to handing it over to somebody else.
Well, Pam, that is the absolute perfect note to end the show on. And unfortunately, we are at that point. But before we go, can you quickly tell listeners how they can find out more about your beautiful work?
Oh, bless you. Yes, please, by all means, feel free to come and visit me at whatswithinyou.com. That's WHATSWITHIN U.com. Would love to connect with as many people as possible. Absolutely.
I highly recommend that everyone do that. Join up with Pam, follow her work. It is absolutely beautiful, and you will get so much out of it. Also, if you care to, please join me at kennybrixey.com, and you'll find out more about the work that I do, and that's in the process of being revamped as we speak. And I love to send out my deepest gratitude to Brent Carey and Dylan at Empower Radio for making this show possible and reaching out to the world with positive energy. Until next week and beyond, value you and elevate your experience of life. Love and peace.